This is the Go Diaper Free podcast with Andrea Olson, Session 9, Mythology.
Welcome to the Go Diaper Free podcast, where we're all about teaching you how to stop changing diapers, starting at birth. And now your host, she was captain of her high school dance team, Andrea Olson.
Yes, that's true. I was captain of my high school dance team, the Trinity Troyans in Euless, Texas, which for Texas actually was a really big deal. I did not know how to dance before I joined drill team, but then I ended up learning, and that became a really big part of my life. So there's a little snippet you might find interesting about me. Today, though, we're going to talk about things that are not true, things that are misconceptions and myths in the elimination communication realm. So not surprisingly, many people feel very cynical when they hear about EC. You might be one of them or have been one of them. It's just not what any of us grew up knowing. People's lack of knowledge or experience really leaves them to their creative juices of creating myths and spreading them. I mean, there's so much new stuff to learn with a new baby. Why would you want to complicate things further? A baby using a toilet? Miniature-sized training pants? Babies wear diapers. We don't live in the wilderness. We don't live in tribes, etc., etc., etc. So comments like this come from far and wide. There's even in third world countries, people are convinced that babies just have always worn diapers at this point because that's what's common. So anyway, there are indeed some rumors running around town about EC that I would like to dispel in this first part of covering myths and misconceptions. And then we'll talk about what the clear truth is about EC after we talk about each myth. We're going to cover 5 in today's session, so hopefully you have time to squeeze this into your busy day. So let's go. First of all, I, the parent, will be trained by my baby, not the other way around. If you have chosen to have a baby, you're pretty much going to have to provide what your baby needs 24/7 in the beginning at least. If any, the training actually lies in those loud baby cries and is necessary for the propagation of our species. If they didn't ask for their needs when they have them, they probably wouldn't get them met, and we probably wouldn't all be here today. So just as a parent feeds a baby food because she can't feed herself yet, so does a parent potty a baby because she can't do it herself yet. If a parent feels used or manipulated because of this, the parent should probably seek help. Babies just need us, plain and simple. We gladly provide for them because they are helpless and because we love them. And if that means that we're trained, then willingly so. Another myth that I hear of lots is it's inconvenient. EC is inconvenient. I've actually had the opposite experience. I found diapering to be inconvenient, but the bottom line is potty learning, no matter what age you begin, is just plain inconvenient. Disposable diapers are very convenient, yet are proven to delay potty training. The average age is now 3 years old in the United States. And that was actually in 2009, so it might even be older by now. It used to be, if you ask any grandparent you know, it used to be around 18 months or earlier, sometimes as early as 9 months, 12 months, that kids were potty trained in the past. But disposable diapers have changed that, and those came into the scene in 1959. Potty training a toddler is extremely inconvenient. Constantly feeding a newborn is inconvenient too, but every baby needs feeding. So being any kind of responsive parent, practicing attachment parenting or whatever connective parenting you like to call yourself doing, it's all not convenient, but it reaps the highest rewards. Slowing down around life is key in our bustling society, and realizing that nothing about pottying or having a baby is actually convenient anyway. With pottying, it's just a matter of when you choose to begin. EC is certainly less convenient in the beginning, especially if you don't have guidance, which you can get anytime. Come visit us at godiaperfree.com and I'll make it completely clear exactly how to start, so it's more convenient. But anyway, and eventually EC does result in more convenience earlier than conventional potty training. Taking a baby in the middle of a restaurant visit to the potty instead of changing a diaper is way more convenient, take it from me. The next myth I'd like to talk about real quick is I don't have time. And this goes hand in hand with the last one. It's just not convenient. So with EC, taking your baby to the bathroom is generally quicker than letting the baby pee or poo in her pants and then cleaning that off of her skin, tending to any related diaper rash, which if you have had that, you know how much of a nightmare that is. And replacing a full-on diaper setup and clothing, especially if it's a cloth diaper with pins and a cover. EC does not take any more time than any full-time diapering method actually, and often takes substantially less time, again, if you start with the proper information and if you're doing it with balance and not hyper-focusing on it. The other thing that is key to know that I've mentioned in every single episode so far, you do not have to practice EC 24/7. You can successfully do it part-time, as so many parents do. Now, to be honest with you, EC is definitely more demanding, time and energy-wise, in the beginning months, but then it tapers off in the coming months, often completing sooner than conventional methods. It's kind of like teaching a child to read. You're going to spend a lot more time and energy with it in the beginning, and then before you know it, they'll be reading on their own. And the next misconception, it will take way longer to potty train my child this way than the conventional way. So many ECing parents do report that potty independence happens years earlier by using EC than by doing conventional potty training. Depending on your definition of what completed potty training looks like, which honestly, even people who do conventional potty training call potty trained something different than what I would. It actually can range with EC from 6 to 24 months to completion. And again, this is compared to the current average of about 36 to 38 months for conventional toilet training independence in the United States. That's 36 months for girls and 38 months for boys. And that's average. That means that we've got 5-year-olds running around in diapers. However, please keep in mind that finishing potty independence early is not the goal of EC, and that would actually pressure the process and probably make it backfire, so you definitely don't want to do that. Every baby is totally different and develops at a different pace, and every parent is completely different. So, this should be respected, and an environment of non-coercion grounded in trusting communication should be the focus of any EC practice. And lastly today, I would like to talk about this myth that is probably one of the biggest and it's brought up by a lot of people who are selling products to help kids who are potty trained older. I won't name any names. And this one is, it will psychologically damage my baby to start this early. So first of all, elimination communication is a natural process from start to finish, and it takes babies' hygienic instincts into account from the beginning. It is not training. Although at times people and I refer to EC as infant potty training, this is just to suit the needs of conversation. Many people get what you're talking about if you use the more common vernacular. So regarding potty training, child psychology experts insist that parents will harm their baby's psyche and cause irreparable damage, emotionally and physically, by potty training early. So, to clear this up, if you're talking about early potty training, which is a method from the early 20th century, then you're right. This incorporated coercion, think anal suppositories. I mean, it's really cruel. If you're talking about doing conventional training on a 1 or 3 day boot camp schedule like in the modern world, then yeah, you're probably going to have some damage by doing things this way. It's got to be a balance. So given that families across the world have been doing this over the course of human history naturally and non-forcibly without diapers or a dependence upon any kind of a backup like cloth or leather or rabbit fur or whatever, it is unlikely that doing EC will harm your baby in any way. I'm talking about 200,000 years the human race has been in the state that it is now, in our physical form anyway. If you follow these instructions and proceed in a gentle way, responding to your baby's natural cues, you will be helping your baby's psychological and emotional well-being. You will be building trust between the two of you, not hindering it. Now, I do have my master's degree in counseling psychology. I have done lots of counseling with children and parents, and I can assure you of the things that do and don't cause damage. It is really just down to the techniques and the stance of the parent and with what emotion is the training or teaching happening. And that's really key to whether or not you're going to damage your child. And if you're afraid you're going to damage your child, then you might damage them by being so afraid. So it's kind of a tricky thing. Now, per Wikipedia, pediatrician T. Barry Brazelton warns that enforced toilet training can cause serious long-term problems, and that it is the child's decision when to stop wearing diapers, not the parents'. All right, deep breath. I totally agree that enforced toilet training can cause serious long-term problems, definitely. And EC shines in this light in that it is non-coercive, gentle, and natural. However, I don't agree with what Brazelton infers next, that it's the child's decision when to stop diapering and begin using the toilet. We as parents train our children to go against their instinctual aversion to wetness and thus teach them to use the diaper as a potty. That is what we do. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just what we do. They trust that this is where we want them to go, and then they become confused and resistant when we try to train them out of their diaper habit. I'd be unhappy too. I mean, especially at 2 or 3 years old when you're really trying to do everything yourself. If it were up to babies, they'd have us help them not potty in their pants from day one, as per their instincts. If they could decide when to stop wearing diapers, I guarantee you they would choose not to wear them at all. And quite the contrary, delaying potty training till 3 or 4 years old is what's damaging to our children. Still living in diapers at 4 years old may reap serious psychological consequences on our children. I've heard countless stories of diaper trauma, such as one toddler who poos in his diaper, then reaches his hand in, grabs the poop, and smears it everywhere. This story came from a daycare worker here in America. There are many more diaper trauma stories where that came from, but I'll stop there. You get the picture. The long-term psychological effects of wearing your toilet and deeming your private parts yucky are somewhat unknown, but being a therapist myself, I can tell you that forcing a child to pee or poo on herself against her innate instincts is one of the most confusing, trust-hindering, shame-invoking things one can do to a baby's psyche. And not just a small baby as a backup, because lots of ECers use diapers as a backup, but I'm talking about an 18-month baby, a 24-month baby, a 40-month baby, if you can still call them a baby at that point. It is damaging. So as a culture, we need to honestly assess this civilized practice and realize that just because it's convenient doesn't make it right. So that brings me to the end of the 5 myths and misconceptions that I'd like to share in this episode of the Go Diaper Free podcast. You can get the show notes at godiaperfree.com/session9. And if you are curious about EC and how to start and how to support your practice in the best, most specific, most simplified, dummy-proof form ever, that's why I created godiaperfree.com. Please come pay us a visit. Right now, I offer a book. In the future, I will be offering a full-on community where you can learn and get support on the website, godiaperfree.com. Please come visit. I'll teach you everything I know. Until then, have a wonderful time exploring EC and the other options besides full-time diapering. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com.